let's start by just giving us the short version of who you are, and maybe feel free to share a little bit about your testimony. But as you know, I have about 10 questions that I want to ask you, and so we'll begin with who you are, and again, feel free to share a little bit about your testimony if you'd like.
Yeah, I am Thomas Samuel. Definitely, I didn't grow up with this name. I grew up with another name that was very Muslim, radical background. I grew up in a family that was really religious, very radical, and then I realized my Salafism identity with time among the family and among everyone around me. And I realized that we are walking a path. There is a path of Salafism. It's not a group in the sense of it's a cult, but it's a group of it's a path. So I can say that it's very deep. It's very organized. It's very we can say it's very educational as well, because Salafism are two groups. For people who doesn't know Salafism is people who believe in Quran and Sunnah. Quran, the holy book of Muslims, and Sunnah, the words of Muhammad, with the perspective of the ancestors of the Ummah, of the nation. So the companions of Muhammad, how they received the Quran, how they understood the Quran and the Sunnah. This is how we walk in the shadow of their light, in the shadow of these people. This is how we preserve everything and how we understand it and how we keep it. And I grow up thinking of the most thing that I think of, that I want to give my life to God. This is the most thing I want to do. I want to give my life to God. I want to die for this God. I want to die for Allah. Let's say Allah, to make it more clear. And what happened to me, that I started to think of jihad, and definitely I started to memorize the Quran. I started to memorize the Sunnah. I started to lead the prayer even in the mosque. My uncle is an imam, is the imam of the mosque in our area. And I started to be the leading prayer, the one who leads the prayer in the mosque. And I was not happy because I wanted to give my life to God, I wanted to die for God. So when the invasion of Iraq happened in 2003, this was my peak point, the point where I was not able to make it more or to wait anymore. And I started to contact one person, and this person was responsible for helping jihadi group to recruit jihadi people for jihadi group, or he has connections, let's say. And he was so much welcoming this idea, and he was so much happy. And I waited for his phone call, and then I received the phone call saying that I cannot go. This was the most frustrating point I have ever get to in that period. I was so frustrated, I was so disappointed, and I felt like I lost everything, because I planned that I will die, Olin, I will die. So suddenly you are telling me I will not die, I will live. This was very strange for me. I was not prepared for that. I was prepared to die. So this is bad. Until one of my leaders missed me and started to ask about me, and he said, "Where are you?" I said that are you willing to meet me? I said yes. And then he said we had a very fantastic talk. He said to me, "Thomas, why you want to die for God, for Allah?" I said, "This is what we should all do, die for Allah." He said, "Maybe he didn't choose you to die. Maybe he chose you to live for God. Maybe he chose you to live for him." I felt like this was very awkward word for me. What do you mean to live for him? And he said, "No, you are. I heard you leading the prayer. Heard you talking, preaching, and I think a guy like you should be talking, should be spreading Islam out, should be grabbing more people. And when you do that, many will die." I like the word. I like the idea, and I started to do a lot of things. Learned how to speak to people, how to reach out to others. I was focusing on Muslims, and I did this for a while, until, to make the long story short, I was not satisfied with that after some time. even after being on TV and so on. And I said I should reach out for other non-Muslims,
Right.
maybe this is the solution, because I was so much focusing on Muslims. So I reached out for non-Muslims. The first 3 months, I got 3 Christians from Islam to Christianity. From Christianity to Islam. So this was a peak point again for me, because I felt like, oh my God, I can do that. And Christians know nothing about their faith. I just need to study Christianity, and accordingly, I'll be able to get many Christians to Islam. And I started to go to some Islamic apologetics and polemics, and this was my first shock. From the beginning, I was so much shocked. I was so much unhappy with many things. That was sad, because I found people who are criticizing Christianity for around 20% of their talk, and criticizing Christians 80% of their talk. So this was for me not happy thing, because I felt like we have also evil Muslims also, we have Muslims who does evil, who are not so good. So don't blame Christians for not being that faithful or good. On the other hand, I felt that I need to continue somewhere, and I started to focus on, let's say, reading myself. I said it's hard for me to reach out to learn from these people, because I really disagree with them, and I want to learn myself. I started to try to ask some Christians around me, but they were not really helpful. They were so afraid to speak to me, and this is a very important point. Christians are afraid to speak to me about their own faith. That's sad, right?
It is.
And then I started to search myself, and I read the gospel for the first time, a whole gospel for the first time, the Gospel of John. And for me, it was so strange. And I felt like it's not really clear to me the way I read it. I felt it so much complicated. I wanted someone to give me kind of declaration or interpretation, or more clarity, or more like a summary for Christianity, let's say.
Right.
A summary. So because I was going to do all of that just to reach out for Christians, so I was not it's not really something that I can say that I I was not digging Christianity for the sake of knowledge. I was digging in Christianity for the sake of a mission. This is what I want to say. So, so for me, I wanted summary for Christianity. And then I was searching on internet, and suddenly I got a website that popped up on my screen saying, "Do you love Allah?" I said, "Yeah, I'm the most guy who love Allah in the world." Yes, I clicked it. And it was a Christian website, opposite to what I thought. I thought it's a Muslim website, but it was a Christian website. And this Christian website was so good, was so cool, was so clear, was so amazing. I liked it so much. We can go in details later, but I liked it because it had a lot of things that really make sense for me. But at the same time, I'm a Muslim still, and I was a Muslim still, and I was confused more than convinced. I felt like, for the first time, I said in my life, maybe we are wrong. For the first time in my life. And this is a big thing for a Salafi to say. Maybe we are wrong. It's a big thing, because we never doubt. in our faith. So I started to lose faith, and I started to search. And the more I searched in Islam, the more I lost faith, because I took away the holiness veil or the holiness cover that Islam has. Once you remove that, you see many problems that maybe we will talk later about it across the interview. But I started to see problems, and these problems started to make me stepping backward until I became an atheist. Actually, I decided that I become an atheist, because I said, if the God of Islam is wrong, then there is no God. I mean, if the God of Islam is wrong, then there is no God. So I said the only solution is to do that for let's say it, if Islam is so much unclear like that, how I trust any other religion? For me, the Islam was the most clear thing, the most thing that I spent my life on. I did a lot of things under the name of Islam. I spent whole life studying and learning about Islam. So for me to be shocked or to feel deceived, it made me feel that maybe I'll be deceived again. You know, this idea, maybe I'll be deceived again. So maybe there is no God, and I became an atheist for a while. And this is a long journey that I also won't take long talking about it. But what I would say that I didn't fit so much with atheism after a while. It didn't work out. So I became an agnostic. Then I didn't work out so well as an agnostic. I became a deist. Then it didn't work so well with me as a deist. I became a religious Christian. And I became a religious Christian because after being a deist, I decided, this is a very important moment, I decided to take my own life. Because I was packed with problems, I was packed with no solution, and I said, there is no solution, I will take my own life. But then I prayed for the first time to God, because the medicine that I took was really painful. So for the first time I prayed to God, and after this long time since I was a Muslim, and I said, if you're real, get me out of that. And he got me out of it. And in the next day, I woke up like nothing has happened, like I took no medicine. This was a miracle, you know? So I said to God, you are too big for me to know you. I remember my promise, because I promised him, if you get me out of this, I will follow you. I will search for you. But tell me who you are. And in the next day, I went to sleep, and after I prayed this prayer, and I dreamed that I'm running in a very long road, a lot of tree branches full of thorns chasing me, want to kill me. At the end of the road, there is a man standing there that I don't recognize him. So I said, help me, do something. He bended his hand, put it on my shoulder, brought me before him. And I found out that this is Jesus Christ. And he looked deep in my eyes and he said, it is your time to follow me.
Wow.
So I woke up, believe me, I woke up and I said, this is hallucination. I didn't believe it. And in the next day, I got the same dream with the same details. So I walked out and I said, if this is true, do something. If this is true, come to me one more time with the same details. Otherwise, I will not believe in you again. And imagine what? He has come. And he said, and this time he said, didn't I tell you it's your time to follow me?
Wow.
The only problem with that I woke up, I didn't know Jesus. I was full of tears and crying, and I decided to follow Jesus Christ. But the problem, I don't know who he is. And I didn't know why he came to me. So a lot of things happened, but to also cut the long story short again, I became a Christian, but I became more like a religious Christian because nobody discipled me. You know, I didn't learn how to really live as a Christian. So after that, I fall into New Age. After being a Christian for a while, I felt like, is this everything? Just changing the name Allah to Jesus, and instead of going to the mosque, we go to the church. Nobody taught me about real relationship with Jesus and this stuff. Nobody taught me that. So I fall into New Age, and I travel to India to study New Age and Hinduism and Buddhism. And then I came back. I met my wife, and then I introduced her. I came back from India saying that Christ is true. You should not waste your time in Eastern religions. But this was a mistake. But then I came back and I met my wife and I introduced her to Jesus. Then she became a Christian. And She was not my wife at that time. Then we got married, and then I was introduced to an amazing person, without mentioning names because his name would be in danger. But amazing person. He was an apologist in the evangelical church, and he really helped me a lot more than you think. And he was discipling me, and everything changed after that. And then I was persecuted, and I needed to leave Egypt. So I left Egypt into another country, and now I studied apologetics. I did my master's in theology with Islamic studies concentration, and I am serving the Lord as an apologist and as a teacher. And this is what I do today. So thanks be to God.
Amen. What a powerful testimony, brother. I mean, it's just so encouraging to, I think Muslim background believers make some of the best apologists, and you just have, it's not really uncommon for somebody like me in the U.S. to have a heart for Muslims, but you guys really have a heart for your former Muslim brothers and sisters, and I just appreciate that so much. All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Olin Giles, and on behalf of Radical Truth, I would like to welcome you. Thank you so much for watching this episode today. And before we get started, I want to remind you about our website, radicaltruth.net. You can find out more information about us. And of course, if anyone would like to support the ministry there's 4 missionaries, myself, Mike Westerfield, Tony Garule, and Christine. You just have to click on those names there, and we would appreciate your prayers, and anything beyond that would be a bonus. So thank you again in advance. Today I have a very special guest with me. I'm super excited about having Thomas Samuel with me, and I'm away from home, as you can tell here, and I've just blazed through his book here. What an excellent resource. I mean, it not only gives his testimony, so to speak, but it gives a lot of valuable information about Islam. And I know that you're going to enjoy and be blessed by what he has to say to us here today. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on and allow him to introduce himself. Hello, Thomas. How are you, brother?
Hello, Olin. This is a blessing to be with you, brother.
Amen. Likewise. Just appreciate you taking the time to do this. And